starting with this session. I know that some of you are still on your way, and we have to start because of the time. We are actually 5 minutes behind the schedule. They can join, and they will miss on some of the first slides, but it's not a big deal. Now, blockchain security, we do have people. We're 5 minutes late. If you can please pay attention for a second. But whatever you have to do, you can do it after the class, or you can do it before the class. But it's difficult in a small room like this to talk over. You have to. I need a microphone.
Sorry, just Wi-Fi issue.
You don't need Wi-Fi for this session. So after the session, you can reconnect. Now we're going to be talking about blockchain and blockchain security. If I can ask you, as the person right opposite me, if I do make an error and if my slides are not showing, if I'm referring to something like, for example, if it's on full screen, I might change to Google and talk about Google, because on this screen, if you spot anything like that, just shout out immediately. Don't be shy. I won't take an offense or anything if you stop me and say, hey, the screen is different. Blockchain security and digital identity. I know that many people are excited about blockchain. Blockchain is actually a very old technology. In terms of the technology stack, Bitcoin was developed in 2008, 2009. And imagine what kind of phone did you use back in 2008 and 2009. That phone is today probably obsolete. I remember 2008 is probably iPhone 4, if I remember correctly. iPhone 1. iPhone 1. iPhone 1. iPhone 1. So, you know, when people say revolutionary technology, blockchain, yada, 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 no, in terms of technological stack, that's very much outdated. I think in the previous session I showed you how many blockchains exist today, but just for the purpose of this, let me demonstrate that again. Hold on, I do need to open a different screen.
2007,
iPhone 1, okay. So you see, these are all blockchains. It's no longer just one Bitcoin. Now we have, if just on this is CoinMarketCap. There are two web pages that you can check. CoinMarketCap, second one is CoinGecko. Both of them would have the same information. Doesn't matter which one you use. So Bitcoin here, it's still number 1, and Ethereum is number 2. Some of those are stable coins. If you scroll down, those are the first 100 blockchains. And here we have 90 pages. 90 times 100. That just on CoinMarketCap does not mean that all of them are listed here. And if you go to page 90, most of those blockchains, they have gone to a crypto graveyard. We call that the crypto graveyard, and they're not coming back anymore. They're never going to come back. So if you see a share price of some crypto project and you're naive, you think, oh, this is going down, I'm going to buy it now, and the next bull run is going to go up, I can make tons of money. Some of these blockchains, not only that they are dead, but the team has moved on. There's nobody maintaining that, because it has an element of, I can pass it on if you want me. Just the pen as well.
Yeah.
There you go. Cables there. There you go. So let's say you pick a specific project that you're very interested, maybe 5 years ago was really pumped up, and now the price has gone down and you see that flat curve of going down. You think it will come back, I'm going to buy it on the cheap. It will go even further lower. The team has gone, the developers are gone, there's nobody maintaining the project, it's just automatically running over there, and it's ending up. How far can it go? Let's say you talk about Polish zlotys. You have zlotys that they are, or euros, you have 1 euro, 100 cents. Is it cents in euros? Cents, right? Or 1 pound, 100 pennies. In crypto, there is no such number. Let's look at some of this. And it could go down to 0.000000001, which means that currency can exist for a long time. You buy it today for 1,000 pounds, things is going to go up, it will keep going down. So basically, you are an exit liquidity. That's what you are. We call that exit liquidity. So you're naive and you buy it, and somebody else is waiting to sell this, they sell it, and you're the exit liquidity. So let's look at some of this. Let me think of a project. Oh, I'll show you the best one. Terra Luna. Or let's actually look at StartNet. Because Darknet, this project has a very potential technology. So I would have showed you the Terra Luna and USDC, that's the collapsed currency that the owner is currently going to prison. This technology is actually part of this project. This is a zero knowledge proofs technology. It's been developed by a professor and it's a very stable technology. It would resolve many issues. Look at what's happening. So when you get this is what we call the dead spiral. I cannot draw with this tool very well. If there is not that heartbeat going up, this project is never coming back again. It used to be one USD and now it's 7 cents, 96% down. You might think I'll buy it now, it will pick up in the future. Quite often the team is gone, they work on a completely new project now, and I don't want to pick on this one specifically because that might give you the wrong perception. Zigzag Exchange used to be one of the leading exchanges on ZK Sync. It's gone, it's no longer even being traced. The team has disappeared. So on this one alone, I have lost probably a few £1,000. ZK Sync, zero knowledge proof, ZK Sync, you see the dead spiral going down. These projects are not coming back, not because they are not credible. Everything that I showed you so far, it's extremely useful technology that we're going to cover in this presentation. It's not always about the technology stack, it's about the users. So why do you have Bitcoin going up? Why is Bitcoin going up and everything else is going down? It's because of the people. People believe in it. Yeah. Exactly. So
people got Nobel Prizes for saying that. Because they believe in it.
Yes. So people believe in Bitcoin. What happens when people stop believing in Bitcoin? Dead spiral. But is it going to go down? That is as much speculation as I can. We're going to expand into various different speculative aspects. Let's focus on covering the PowerPoint slides first because that's the important thing is in PowerPoint slides. We can talk about Satoshi Nakamoto all day long, but I hope that at the very beginning I have given you a taste that the blockchain is not a free lottery that you buy any crypto and you win. Actually, a lot of it, let me give you another example. Uniswap and SushiSwap. Uniswap is a very credible exchange on the Ethereum chain. SushiSwap just took the code, cloned it, produced SushiSwap. You can do that for any of this. It's open source code, most of it. You can take the code, create a different currency. So Bitcoin, it will become Bitcoin 3 or Bitcoin 2. Does it mean that you're going to get the users? No. Does it mean that you're going to get the money? No. But SushiSwap did that and they, in the peak, and they actually got billions within a few days. So the owner had reserved like 10 or 20% for his own. He said that from the very beginning. This is my money. If I do create this chain and if people buy it, 20% of this new currency goes to my pocket. So he took the money and people revolted. They said, oh, he took the money and he ran away. But that's what he said from the beginning. Legally, there was no case against him, but he got scared. Went back, returned the money, and he left the project with no profit. But in the code, when he changed from Uniswap to create the new project called SushiSwap, he didn't even change the references to Uniswap. So that's how fast he built it. Just copy, pasted, changed the name overall, but the other references were still using Uniswap. Now, going back to the slides. I'm going to use this format because, well, actually, if I use this format, it's going to be possibly difficult for other parts. But if I do happen to start talking about some web page and the web page is not showing here, please let me know. This is me, my background. Do we have security standards for blockchain security? Since it's an old technology, we do have ISO standards that you can apply. And why do they fail blockchains and what do they don't fail? So one of the key security aspects of blockchain is decentralization. It means if you have a cloud system and that cloud system is in Ukraine and Putin bombs it, destroys, maybe has like 10 targets, blasts them out, that's it, it's gone. If you're in the UK and you have Amazon Web Services in 10 locations, you hack them and you stop the server. With decentralization, the argument here is that Bitcoin, for example, operates across boundaries. And even the feds have not been able to stop that blockchain. because you cannot find every single node around the world. Maybe one of them is based in Turkmenistan, one of them is based in North Korea, and another one could be based in the basement in Montana. You cannot find all the nodes and shut them down. As long as one node is running, Bitcoin is alive. So the Feds, they took a different approach. They said, we're going to have the reserve, we're going to buy Bitcoins, and whenever we want to shut it down, we're just going to sell it and the market will drop, and then we achieve the same thing. So they do have mechanisms in place. And the second most decentralized chain after Bitcoin is Ethereum. Now, how decentralized is really when you have, let's say, I'm looking at, you see this wallet here, MetaMask? That's MetaMask. More than 50% of all the users are using MetaMask. So if I'm the Feds and I'm trying to shut down the Ethereum chain, do you think Ethereum is unbreakable? Because if I'm the Feds, I can make a phone call to the owners of MetaMask and say, shut this wallet down, and then 50% of the users, they need to transfer their private keys into a different wallet, and not many people know how to do that. That instantly, that short period of time of lack of services is enough to kill the faith into this crypto wallet. And as soon as you have killed the faith in that, that goes into death spiral. So that's one way how the Feds can shut Ethereum, the second most decentralized, the second biggest blockchain. What is the other way? Well, Ethereum has shifted now from proof of work, which is Bitcoin, to proof of stake. What's the fundamental difference? Proof of stake means that some individuals or organizations need to hold enough Ethereum to stake it in order to be validators. That means that they have a stake, proof of stake. You just make a phone call to those stakers. Who are they? Most of it is Amazon Web Services in the cloud. So most of the validations for Ethereum is done by big cloud providers. That's how they use their overcapacity. So you cannot use all your capacity if you create a cloud server, but if you gang up with few blockchains, then you constantly use the services even when there is no demand. So is it completely indestructible? Is that how safe they are? As people say, well, you can never kill the blockchain because it's decentralized. Decentralization comes with a cost. And what happens to Bitcoin now when it's too expensive to mine? Let's say Estonia create a national ID, and that national ID is based on blockchain technology. But that is not the same like Bitcoin. They only have limited number of nodes, less than 20 nodes. So you kill those 20 nodes and you kill their digital ID system. It's more secure than having one centralized data repository, but 20 nodes, it's not that much. You can still shut it down if you really choose to do that. Now, going back to the slides, and I'm gonna maximize. Yes, okay. Here, all of these are links. What actually needs to be secured, and I still need to find a way around how to work with these PowerPoint slides, but you see you have, this is the European regulation, MiCA it's called. I'm going to open that link for you. That's the European regulation for cryptocurrencies. Here we have ISO standards. This here, actually I'm going to sit down for this one because I really need to work on the computer to make sure that I can open this really quick. Now they're opening on my screen, but they're not opening on your screen. I'm going to fix that. Exit. Safari. There we are. So this is NIST. NIST, that we already spoke about NIST in length in the previous session. So this is NIST, and you can find resources on NIST on how to secure the blockchain. This is MiCA, Market and Crypto Asset Regulation. This is from the European Union. What does it mean? It means that any stable coins, and we have referred to the list of cryptocurrencies, this is a stable coin, Tether. It's expected that the next big breach in cryptocurrency, the next job, would be triggered by a collapse of a stable coin. Because, as we said, Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptocurrency can go down to 0.000 something. That is not technically a collapse because the currency still exists. But if it's a stable coin like Tether, it needs to be pegged to the USD. As soon as that trust has been broken and drops below to 0.07, 0.98, as long as it's below 0.9999, the trust is broken and goes into a death spiral. So that's why we have MiCA trying to prevent that. So The third biggest cryptocurrency is a stablecoin. The sixth biggest cryptocurrency, USDC, that's another stablecoin. So 2 of the 10 biggest cryptocurrencies are actually stablecoin. The MiCA regulation in the European Union is preventing that by saying you have to keep any operation that you're doing in the European Union, you have to keep the assets in the European Union. Tether is based somewhere in the country far, far away. You have no control over it. Also, what they're saying is that you have to keep it in euros as opposed to USD in case there's a risk from the USD devaluating or collapsing. Now, distributed ledger technologies are also on the ICO, Information Commissioner Office, and this is the United Kingdom version of the MiCA. Well, not the United version of Kingdom. Sorry, the background noise is deconcentrating, so I can give them a few seconds, otherwise I'm going to say something that is wrong. So just give them a few seconds for them to settle down. The Information Commissioner Office in the United Kingdom is the regulator who runs GDPR, for example. So in the European Union, you have the European Commission, the European Parliament. ICO runs GDPR. And it's equivalent to ISO in the UK terms, the Information Standardization Office. So here we have a standard on blockchain and distributed technologies. We already have standards for securing the blockchain technologies, and we also have security controls for blockchain applications. Hold on, just 1 second. We have lots of management consultancies that they have provided guidance on how that could happen. This is from Deloitte. I'm referring to Deloitte because in other sections, usually I mention them. Currently, they have published 2 reports that have been generated by generative AI. It's not concerning if you make an error once, but if you make the same error 2 weeks after and you're charging your clients 2 million for that report, it becomes a problem. And if you don't highlight that problem, that means that it can keep repeating. So what is the issue with using generative AI to writing this kind of reports? Well, first of all, why would I pay anybody $1 million to write a report if I can use generative AI to do it? That means that all the knowledge that is contained within that algorithm is sufficient enough, therefore it's not valued, it shouldn't be valued at $1 million. Second reason is how does generative AI operate? It generates, and quite often, if you don't have sufficient information to provide to the generative AI, it will hallucinate. Now, this is very important to cover. Let me see if I can open a window. Too many people get scruffy. I do teach this course to students, and I think since you make the point, it's important to cover this. When is acceptable to use generative AI and when is not acceptable to use generative AI? I know this session is on blockchain, so I'm not going to expand on that. I can keep that for other sessions, but since we touched upon it, we need to cover this. Let's say you work for a company like Deloitte and you want to write a report. What kind of prompt is acceptable? What is not acceptable? A prompt to say, give me a structure on how to write a report for ICO. So let's say this one. Give me a structure on how to write a good report for blockchain and distributed ledger security based on ICO TC 307. Generative AI will most likely produce a very good outline. It will tell you what things you need to cover. Then you need to fact check that. You need to double check it, make sure it's correct. What failure would generative AI cause if you ask, write me a report for a very specific project that only you work on? You say, okay, I work on new blockchain technology. I developed this new blockchain technology. Write me a report on the risks based on ICO 307. It will hallucinate. It's 99% chance that it will hallucinate because it does not contain the knowledge about that project that you have created. It's not trained to do that. How the neurons are activating, how the weights are working, that does not contain the information that you provide. Now, I do have an example here, which you're going to watch in your own free time. I'm not going to cover this in extensive detail. You send me a message on LinkedIn or email or somehow, and I can send you the link. Now, this reporter basically asked generative AI to write a summary of his own TV show. Generative AI creates a summary. And he says, well, hold on, I haven't actually uploaded that to the internet yet, so how did you get this information? He says, oh, no, you told me. It argues with the reporter. So this video here, it's an argument when generative AI is lying to the reporter. He's saying, no, I did. And after a very long interaction, so if you watch the entire video, you realize that the generative AI admits, he says, no, actually, I lied. So why is generative AI doing this? Back many years ago, 20 years ago, we did have forms of AI that communicated with us, and every time it faced a subject that it didn't know, it would stop. It would say, okay, I don't have information on this, so go and find another source. That kind of technology didn't really break into the mass market. It was not fun to use. So generative AI now generates information to make the interactions more fun, so to speak. We're going to be covering ELIZA in other sessions. ELIZA is the symbolic AI version of ChatGPT. We said that there used to be a symbolic AI and machine learning AI. Symbolic AI, they had ELIZA, and ELIZA was based on the information that you provide. The only use case that ELIZA was useful for was a therapist. So when you say things like, I feel down, it will ask you why. Why do you feel down? And then based on the information that you provide, it would create a conversation for you. It was not based on previous data knowledge. Now, I'm going to play this very quickly here.
Modeste to say he's got something very interesting about AI. I have no idea what.
It's all to do with the podcast I do with McElvoy, Politics at Sam and
Nice plug there. It's just there. You just didn't know.
It's June the 3rd. And I was waiting for the transcript to be sent to me to plug it in, to find out a better headline. And it
Now it's saying that it hasn't actually plugged in the transcript yet.
All the transcripts are out. So I was a bit confused. Had it managed to get into the Sky servers? Had it somehow managed to hack something that I didn't have access to?
Right.
So I asked it, can I send the June 3rd transcript? Certainly. Here is the full transcript for the 3rd of June 2025.
So I'm going to stop it there because it's a long video, maybe 5 minutes. I don't want to waste 5 minutes of this course. So I'm going to send you the video. It actually lies by saying, you told me the transcript. You gave me the transcript on that day. That's how good it is. So you think you can trust AI to generate your reports for your legal cases, which are very sensitive? The generative AI is not designed for that purpose. And many people are abusing it. But if you go back to the original conversation that we had, when you say, can you create an outline for ISO? Can it do that? Quite confident, I can say that it will create the outline, but you need to populate that with the specific information. Now, a second use case, which is not allowed for using generative AI in legal, you've imagined that you're feeding this information to a journalist. That's exactly the same thing, like feeding it to generative AI. Grok has published by mistake 300,000 conversations. So imagine that you're talking to Grok or OpenAI or any of these generative AI platforms and you're feeding information about a criminal court case about rape or drugs or whatever, and that gets published to the internet by mistake. Well, it's going to be your error. It's going to be your fault because you fed that information. Yeah.
A quick question. So,
Yes.
for example, like apps called Notebook LM, they actually say that they only use the information you upload to generate what you ask. So, is this still classified as generative AI?
What organizations did you say it was that?
Notebook LM or others?
Yeah.
Also, Google series, I think.
For me to give you that information, I need to really look into the model, the algorithm that they use. Many of those algorithms are black box algorithms, which means that you don't get information about that. Now, let me give you the answer differently. What does it contain in the model? All the models. What's that BBB? So OpenAI, Gemini, all of those. What do you see in the model? Let's say it's a image detection, facial recognition, for example. What does it contain in the model? Does it contain the images of those people? When you train the model? No, it contains weights in euros. So I need diagram to explain this better, but imagine loads of circles. That's how usually those are the neurons. And each circle is connected with a web of lines, and depending on how thick is the line, is it That's usually has a mathematical value, 0.001, 0.0. The weights is how it makes decisions. So that is how the algorithm works. And you can extract those weights, and that's how DeepSeek created their own version of model for much cheaper. Black box model does not mean that it does not contain all the information, even though it doesn't. So I know this is contradicting. I'm saying two things, each one is contradictory. First one is I'm saying if it's a black box model, it does not contain the information for all those images or whatever information you provide. But actually, the point that I was making is completely different, because it's the conversation after the model has been trained. So what you're referring to is how the model is being trained versus how the response is being made. Imagine you have a chat conversation with me, and that chat conversation with me is published on the internet. It's the conversation between me and you. I'm making the decision based on my education and my past experience. You don't have access to that. You only have access to the conversation. If the conversation between me and you is published on the internet, that's the same like the conversation between you and ChatGPT being published on the internet. It has nothing to do with the model. It's a trail. So when Grok published 300,000 conversations by accident, that's the conversation between the person and the model. It has nothing to do with the model weights. But if we are talking about the next level up, is information contained in the model? One example, without actually derailing the whole presentation on blockchain and going into AI, is to give you a facial recognition technology. Now, facial recognition technology is banned in the European Union for various different reasons, perfectly allowed in China. The reason is that we say that the model has been trained in a way that it does not contain the images. Well, with the data, with the model inversion, you can actually recreate a specific. How does it know that it's you? If the model does not contain image of you and it detects you when you walk on the street that you're a criminal, how does it know that it's you? That's a question that you need to ask yourself. How does it know these faces, these people that they're passing? How does it detect them? Yes, there is a mathematical weights and biometrical simulations, but you can reverse engineer that, and I can show you the blurry image will appear. Based on that blurry image, you can re-identify the person. So there is some information that's still stored in those models, but not to derail this to go into AI, let's go back to Slido. So you have Slido and you have a question. I'm gonna try to open this one now. Hold on, I need to log in first. Slido. I'm logging into Slido. And this is going to be the presentation on blockchain security. And the first question is, which factors create legal? Hold on. Let me find why is this question not there? Blockchain security, which factor? Blockchain security. By the way, you do have, in Slido, you have audience question and answers, so you can ask questions over there during the session if you want, and we'll look at them at the end if there is time. I think this question here is wrong. But the reference code is correct, so you need to look at the Slido. And the Slido question is, in practice, where does the legal liability most often arise in blockchain systems? Is it in the algorithm? Is it in the cryptographic hashing function? Is it in the block side through the limitations? So we do have one person that has logged in. So I'm going to leave this question open, and the Slido number is here. So you can join on that one. I'll continue with the slides. This is actually a very interesting slide. So I hope that if you're still digesting your food from your lunch break, and if you're still thinking about AI, after this slide you will shift into blockchain mode. We do have here Sybil, the image of this lady. She was a teacher. Her name was, let me maximize this, Shirley Ann Andel Marson. Hold on. Let me. So, Shirley Andel Marson, let me open these 3 links. And then I'm gonna exit the presentation. And you will be able to see. I'm closing the mic. If you did, some of you were late, you would be able to rewatch the video and catch up with that part. Shirley was a teacher in the United States and she had multiple personality disorder. Now, according to this person, we have an attack called Sybil attack because one of her personality was Sybil or Sybil, depends how you pronounce it. In her multiple personalities, we're gonna see a tree of how many personalities she had. So we're going now, this is the family tree of Sybil. So those are all the personalities that she had, basically. And one of them was Sybil. In blockchain, the most popular cyber attack in blockchain is a Sybil attack, when one person creates multiple personalities to attack the network. And originates from this person. How easy is to manage cyber attacks? Not easy at all. Most of the airdrop campaigns have stopped now because people are creating multiple personalities to attack the blockchain. And if you look at this from a perspective of security, and when you combine this with the power of AI, is it going to create a problem in the future? Yes and no. We now have morphic images. So when you're trying to cross the border and you show your passport, obviously it has biometric identity. Most people are very confident in that biometric identity. They say this is going to be the future, we're going to be very secure. We already have attacks that will break that. So I can create a fake image that is going to look like you and I would break that biometric. Artificial intelligence can also do the proof of liveliness, what they call. You know, like when you have an app and they say, scratch your nose and touch your ear, and that's why I know that because it's going to give you something that you cannot predict and create a copy of that image. It will say, do something wrong, put your head over here, I don't know, scratch your head. That is proof of liveliness. Well, AI can generate an image that looks like you, and it would be able to respond to those prompts at speed. Now, why are we not worried about that form of attack? You can do this on an individual level for one specific person. You already can. So that biometric security that we talk about, it's not really that secure. You cannot do it on a nation level. Therefore, it's not considered as a systemic risk. You cannot collapse a country. You cannot make this attack for every single individual in the country. You can do it for one person. If it's for one person, then the rule of law obeys. You go there, you arrest that person, you send them to prison, and that's how you manage it. But once we have advanced forms of AI that could create these Sybil attacks at the level on a nation, it's going to be very problematic. So where am I going with this? European Union has imposed the European Union digital wallet, which means that you're gonna have from this year or next year, every European citizen will have a digital wallet. It's not gonna be Ethereum, it's not gonna be the MetaMask. Actually, that's a fairly secure wallet comparing to what the European Union is building. I told you the compromises that you can do on MetaMask. Now imagine that MetaMask is 1,000 times more secure than anything that a government can create. Because it's still decentralized and it has elements of security that have been battle tested. Ethereum was not designed yesterday. Ethereum has been around for quite some time. Many people have been trying to break into Ethereum. Have they broken? No. They've broken into bridges, they have broken into liquidity pools, they have broken into digital wallets, but they have not broken Ethereum. Now, what the European Union is building is not going to be battle tested. And it's going to be based on the technologies that I showed you at the beginning, or for zero knowledge proofs, like StarkNet, like zkSync. And those technologies are so far tested. How do you make this cheap? Two technologies, just before I go running through the slides and getting different things, two technologies that you need to understand is the digital wallet, it creates a transaction. When you pay with your Visa card, when you go to Costa Coffee and you pay, there is a transaction cost, right? But you don't pay that. Visa pays it and then recovers that somehow. With the Bitcoin, it's not possible. Every transaction of Bitcoin will trigger a cost that would be more expensive than the coffee. So you're buying a coffee and the transaction cost is more. Nobody's going to pay that. With zero knowledge proofs and with Stark technologies, is you bundle hundreds and hundreds of transactions into one, so you pay that fee once. But you do that at a speed. And it contains certain elements of security. In the future, those technologies might be used, but digital identity systems open up new forms of attacks. And the Sybil attack is the most popular one. Let's go to the next slide. And I'm gonna look at the slide now. Okay, so in practice, where does legal liability most often arise in blockchain systems? Smart contract identity, identity binding off-chain. Yeah, I'll give you that. Where is my next one in one word? Okay, so this is going to be a word cloud. This is not going to be like that. I don't have the answer for this one. This is going to be your opinion, and the value of this is that you're going to see what your opinion is in this specific. And it will show up here. You see it. So then we'll discuss what your opinion is, and is it correct or is it incorrect? The same like we did in previous session. Now going into AI accelerated smart contract exploitation. We are observing more and more bugs and governance problems in the blockchain technology, and it's unlikely that that will decrease as the attack surface increases. So once you have a digital wallet, every European citizen would have its own wallet. That means more targets to attack. And in a traditional blockchain, how do we resolve that? We create a testnet. There is no testnet for this European Union wallet. There is no testnet. Testnets for Ethereum run sometimes 2, 3, 5 years. And on that testnet, you incentivize people to join and to do whatever you want to do on the blockchain. And if it fails, no harm done, because they give you fake money to transact on that one. Once you create this European Union digital wallet, it goes live. So the testing has happened before the human interaction at scale. With Ethereum, if you have, let's say, 1 billion users and you have tested it on 1 billion users for 5 years, you can quite reliably say that this is not going to fail on day number 1. But the attack surface is increasing. And here we have the cross bridges and the systemic risk. These digital wallets that we're creating, they have to interact with other chains. And we already said here that we have various different chains. How do they connect? With oracles. So you need to have an oracle that would connect the Bitcoin chain to Ethereum chain. Otherwise, they operate as individual institutions in silos. And when you're connecting those, do you actually exchange Bitcoin from Bitcoin, send it to Ethereum? No. You create wrapped Bitcoin, which means it's not actually Bitcoin. Somebody is holding a certain number of money to say, we have enough money to cover. What if the Bitcoin price goes up? So Bitcoin is now 100,000, what if it goes to 1 million? And if that wrapped Bitcoin only contains the value, somebody has to keep paying money. And if that person bankrupts, then wrapped Bitcoin is not valid. What is the point of that sentence? When you send Bitcoin from Bitcoin to Ethereum, you're not sending Bitcoin. You're sending wrapped Bitcoin. That is not the same like Bitcoin per se. And here we are creating oracles that they're connecting different chains, and those chains will need to create not one, but they will need to create hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different chains. So what is the best example for this? WeChat in China, it's an app that you can make payments for. You scan a barcode. So you walk around, you scan the barcode, the same like you scan the Slido, and it will say how much money, you type the money, you pay, that's it. Now, Elon Musk is trying to build alternative to WeChat, but he's already building on X a payment mechanism. Payment mechanism that would be able to take money from your bank account, but also from your crypto wallet. Is he going to succeed with that? Is it a good idea? is it going to be the world leading? Now, I'll give you two different opinions. Academics always give you two opinions. You make up your own mind. I'm not going to try to influence it. Let's look at the good thing first. WeChat in China is working really well. It's really fast. Even old people can now make payments. You go to a corner shop and you want to buy a newspaper for £1, you make the payment really fast. You don't need to have various different bank accounts. Old people don't like new technologies. It's very difficult to teach your mother and your grandmother how to use some app. But this is really simple. You open the camera, you scan it, it works. Is that going to help if you have it in a payment mechanism with X? Of course it will. Why is that not equivalent to the digital wallet that the European Union is creating? Is it not better? It's going to be decentralized. It's going to use the risk of these cryptocurrencies collapsing. It's minimized because you're actually keeping the money into those wallets and you're making the payment in Bitcoin. The conversion happens at speed. So you're not converting Bitcoin into euros or Bitcoin into Ethereum. It's actually happening at speed, makes the payment into your local currency. That's the good thing. Is it going to be world leading? It's going to be the #1 app in the world. It's going to be something that everybody's going to want to use because it's going to connect money. We call normal money, we call them fiat. It is no longer in crypto world, there is no longer dollars, USD, euros. We call them all fiat. So it's going to connect fiat with crypto. You're going to have the two worlds of digital money and normal paper money connecting into one payment app. That's the good thing. What else is going to benefit in terms of WeChat? WeChat has broken a market like China to prove that it's doable. You can do that with that technology. And we don't have a competitor. Nobody has a competitor. European Union, basically nobody has developed any form of app that could match that. And in the US, you have Facebook, they tried with Libra. And they abandoned it. So why did Facebook abandon Libra? It comes with regulations and penalties. So they were very afraid. Why is X being so scared to develop these kind of payment mechanisms? Because European Union might come and say, this is in breach of yada, 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 you have to pay X amount of money. Why did Google develop the first transformer architecture and then allowed OpenAI to advance it into ChatGPT? Why didn't Google use that technology? If you're a big organization, it's like a cash cow. So Google is making a lot of money, Facebook is making a lot of money. They don't want to risk that into building a specific app. And Elon Musk currently has the technology, the specific elements on X, that only if you know what you're looking for, X Money, for example, if you go to X Money, you would see that this guy is working on this technology. He can do it. Elon Musk developed PayPal. PayPal was developed that's how he made his money. He developed PayPal. So he knows how to build payment systems. And those payment systems would be extremely valuable, but they would break various different regulations. And if there is one hack, if there's only one hack that is going to attack that network and succeed, he's going to lose the reputation. Nobody's going to use X anymore. Now, in China, that's not the case because WeChat, those are very much government controlled. So if there's one hack, they would find it, they would penalize that person, they would fix the system. You still need to use that. It connects you to various different, for example, if you want to enter the metro and pay for your ticket, for your bus ticket or for your train ticket, you have to use that scanning code. So a single attack is not going to change the perception. There was an attack, they fixed it. But for a private company like X, if that happens, it could mean the end of X as we know it. So Elon Musk is very concerned about that. Now, I'm giving you another question that you can rank, but let's look at first what was the result. What do you think AI most amplifies in blockchain attack? Speed, yes. Cryptocurrency, phishing methods. Yeah, I'm glad that there's an agreement on speed. With crypto, there's what they call trilemma. You cannot have increased security and also have lower costs. So there's connecting things that they prohibit the blockchain from expanding. Why is Bitcoin more secure than Ethereum? Because it has all those elements over there, but transactions would cost. So that trilemma is actually where AI fits into the trilemma of the blockchain it's what I was looking for. But looking at the next one, let me push the next question. So we're ranking components of the blockchain here into systemic, legal, and regulatory risk. So here you have various different risks, and it's a question for you to rank. In your opinion, which one do you think is more risky? Cross-chain bridges, smart contracts, wallets, key management. And I'll continue with the PowerPoint slides. Anybody knows when the session ends? Anybody has the timetable, agenda, so I can... 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, so we have basically 40 minutes left only. Only. I can see your faces falling asleep only. But the worst session is after lunch. So you eat lunch and you don't feel like listening to something. So here we have ISO blockchain, more standards. When you get the presentations, you would get you would be able to access those links. Each image leads to a link to the actual report. One of my criticisms for ISO is it's here. 204 francs. Every report that we're going to see on the next slides, and I have quite a few ISO reports. If you're individual, 200 francs for a report is a lot of money, and that's my main criticism for ISO. ISO, it's an organization that works with other organizations. So if you work for Deloitte, for Google, they have money. They pay 200 pounds. Everybody has access to that report. But you, as an individual, if you need to cash in 200 Swiss francs for each report, that's going to add up to a lot of money eventually. Now, looking at governance failures as security failures. So let me open this one. Just 1 second, I'm navigating between different screens. We're gonna be talking about myths. Hold on, exit. So we spoke about Sibyl. I'm closing this, and you know why Sibyl attack is. Once you see that, you never forget. So now we're going into myths. If cryptography is strong, everything else is safe. Well, we said I don't really need to break the communication between you and another person. I can break into your own device. I can break into your own digital wallet and steal the money directly from the wallet. I don't need to go to the Oracle. So the Oracle, the bridge is a risk. The liquidity pool is a risk. The wallet is another risk. When you're sending money from one wallet to another wallet, does it go from your wallet directly to that wallet? No, it goes to a liquidity pool. Liquidity pool is when those bridges, they have accumulated money as a conversion rate. So conversion from Bitcoin to USDC, conversion from USDC to Ethereum. So they have different liquidity. That's liquidity is provided by users and they get profit. That's like an interest savings account. And that liquidity pool, if it's hacked, then your transaction, it could be lost in that. So there's various different forms of attack. Cryptography is not the only one. One example I can give you is Algo. Algo, let's look at Algo. Algorand. How many people know about Algorand? Algorand? Not many people, no? One person knows about Algorand. Well, Algorand, it's a cryptocurrency developed by MIT professor. And it's really fast, it's really efficient, it's cheap, it does everything by the book. Many people were saying when Bitcoin runs out of steam and there's no more validation, then it would shift to a chain like Algorand. Algorand was the preferred chain. Actually, they implemented post-quantum cryptography. The previous session we talked about post-quantum cryptography. They implemented post-quantum cryptography before any other chains. The second day after they implemented post-quantum cryptography, they got hacked. And even the creator of Algo lost loads of money. Actually, my Algo was the wallet, the digital wallet that existed at the time. I had loads of Algo in my Algo, and that wallet does not exist anymore. Now, I'm repeating this. European Union is creating a digital wallet that every citizen will have to use. Algorand was the most secure blockchain created by MIT professor. My Algo was the digital wallet that got hacked the day after they implemented post-quantum cryptography. As a result, my Algo is now completely gone. Nobody's maintaining it. If you had money in my Algo, that's gone, disappeared. So how did they hack this? Because it's not about the cryptography, it's about the implementation. I don't need to worry about your cryptography if I'm attacking your digital wallet. The cryptography only refers about the communication between your wallet and my wallet. But the cryptography is not applied on a wallet level. At least it was not applied then, and that's how they hacked it. So they had a vulnerability in the implementation. My algo, as you can see in this spiral, is not doing very well. It's a really good chain, but it does not have a support of a government behind it. It's not a government incentive. If this was a government project, they would have fixed and rectified, suffered the loss, and continue with the uses. That's what is going to happen with the European Union. You will have to have a digital wallet. If it gets hacked once, they will pay that consequences. Whatever money has been lost, they will recover, and they will fix the gap. They will patch it, and you'll continue using. Is that the correct way? No, because you need to have open market. You need to have all these cryptocurrencies. They exist here, and they're on the open market. They're run by organizations. Nobody has. The governments does not have infinite amount of money to cover these expenses. We had 2008 financial crash. This could lead to another financial crash. Another reason why crypto is problematic now in the US, we have ETF, exchange traded funds. So you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy Ethereum as part of an exchange traded funds. If you don't come from financial terms, what that means is that in your pension system, there is going to be part of it bought on exchange traded funds. Your pension system provider will keep part of your money into Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin collapses, this could affect your pension in the future. Now, going to another question, let's see how did you guys respond to this one? Wallet and key management. Yeah, I do have answers for this, which I will share the correct answers, but basically,
This consensus.
sorry?
I think the highest risk is for consensus.
Hold on. No, that's not this one. I do have the answers for this one. So let me have them open here. Just 1 second. Rank the following. Am I opening the correct one?
First two.
Yeah, yes, rank the following. So this one, it says cross-chain bridges. Actually, what's more important here is to understand the risk. What is the risk from a cross-chain bridges? We said liquidity pools. The money goes into a liquidity pool. It's not being sent from my wallet to your wallet. It goes to a liquidity pool. Let me show you what is Orbiter Finance. This is one. Oh, return home, go to bridge. This is one bridge. So what the European Union is building already exists. This is one bridge, Orbiter Finance. So you can bridge from Ethereum, and when you're on the Ethereum chain, you can pick whatever currency. So let's say I pick Ethereum, USDT, and I'm shifting to Base, and on Base I want to receive a completely different currency, let's say Ethereum. So that's what a cross-chain means. You have blockchains and you have currencies. So now I'm moving from the Ethereum chain, the currency of USDT, which is equivalent to the peg. I'm moving that from Ethereum chain into the Base chain. I'm not shifting the blockchain only. I'm also changing the currency from USDT into Ethereum. This technology already exists and it has been tested for a long, long time. You can create an app that is going to use this kind of technology. If I was building the European digital wallet, I would make sure that it's transparent and can cross-operate across all these different currencies as opposed to just 1 or 2 or 5 currencies. This is one bridge. Owelto Finance. This is a different bridge. So I mean, if I start demonstrating how many bridges exist, we're going to be here until tomorrow. There's simply not enough time. But here the point is to understand how does it work. You have network, and then you have currency. So Linea is a layer 2 on Ethereum. Base is a layer 2 on Ethereum. You're not going to be able to understand all this in one day, and you don't really have to understand. Ink, it's a layer 2 on Ethereum, but it's owned by Kraken. Kraken is a big cryptocurrency exchange. Base is owned by Coinbase. That's a big cryptocurrency exchange. And you're shifting when you're bridging. So there's a bridge here. That's the button for bridge. You can deploy a smart contract. There's loads of different functions. But here you're bridging the chain. So from Base or from any of those chains, Optimism, you're bridging to Arbitrum, for example. That's two networks, two different blockchains. And here you're bridging the currency. You can change from USDC into, it doesn't tell you what. So Ethereum, well, send to another address. You can, with Auto, they had a function that you would change the same like with Orbiter, that you can change the blockchain and the currency, but now they have taken it out because it's a little bit more risky. So now you see you're only sending between two different networks, you're sending same currency. It does not allow you anymore to change the currency. So you have to go to Arbitrum, then to the network, and convert that currency from Ethereum into something else. And different technologies exist. So this is just to make you aware that they do exist and they do come with different types of risks. Now, here, next question was on scale 1 to 10. How important is documented governance authority for determining liability in decentralized system? Actually, for this question, you're the lawyers. You are the people who know this answer. This is something that you would know better than me. I only talk about the technology stack. So I talk about the risk of specific hack that's happening. But on this, it's more important what your input would be, not my opinion about this. So I would encourage you to click here because the result, the collective result from all of you would give you the correct answer. It's actually, even if I ask ChatGPT, which is okay to ask ChatGPT for answers, but I need to be able to verify it. You can verify the answer, not me, because I don't work in the legal department. So this is something for you to click. And I'll continue with what I do know. And this is the digital identity as the weakest link. Compliance, fraud, AI-enabled identity, synthetic identity generation. Okay, so on this one, I do have some reports from NC, National Center for Cybersecurity, that's from the United Kingdom. And here we have more reports. But let's look at this specific, synthetic identity generation. Let's look at more images.
Sorry, could you please close the window?
Okay.
Thank you.
There we are. So I'm trying to find the morphic images here. Okay, this is the report that I have used before, so I can refer to this one. Face morphing. We spoke about face morphing before, that you can create, let's say you have your passport and your image is there. You feel very confident that nobody can replicate that and use your identity. Well, now we have morph images. And the interesting is, what does it mean morphing versus polymorphing? So in malware, we have polymorphic malware, we have metamorphic. It comes from Greek word. If anybody here is Greek, you already know the answer. Polymorphic means many faces. Metamorphic, it means different. So polymorphic is like chameleon. Chameleon would change the color, but it remains the same. So polymorphic malware changes specific aspects of the code, but not everything. Metamorphic, when it completely changes, so from zebra changes into donkey. So the animal would completely change. That's what it means, morphing. And here we have different images of different people being merged into a single key. And why is that risky? We said systemic risk is a problem. Imagine that you can create one image of one person that can bypass the same security mechanisms for 100 people. So you have one master key basically. And that master key is very problematic because you can create an image that would bypass the whole biometric software. And we already have images that have proven that. So here we have, they're based on blending and warping. Those are the two technologies that we use to do this. I did attend a presentation with the Argentinian border control, and I asked them a question: do you have examples of people being able to bypass your digital identity system? And the answer was yes, we have. We have so many that we can't even control it. The only reason why this is not a problem at this present moment is because it's not systemic. You cannot create one master key, one image that is going to open every gate. You can do it on an individual level, then you can trace it, you can detect it, you can patch it, you can correct it. What happens when you can build this on a universal level? And on that, let's look at something else. AI stop sign camera. You see all these different signs that they're showing here? To an AI, that would read differently. Stop sign might read like drive faster. So by putting those stickers over there, it's enough to confuse the AI system. Now, if you're doing this with morphing images, it's kind of going into the same direction. And 35 minutes, we only have 25 minutes left. I want to show you the capabilities of AI versus human on this level. So let me do that. No, this is on a different. I'm talking about multiple personality disorder, but everybody in security has multiple personalities. So I'm opening 13 images here, 13 different web pages. Did we cover this in the previous session? Did we talk about the singularity? Anybody remember discussion of singularity? Just because I teach every day and I don't know what did I teach you. Did I teach you about singularity? No. Okay. So this is very important. We're going to cover this. Let me just make sure that this, if by any chance you see any of these images and you know what they mean, that means you have seen it. And that means that I have taught this before. The singularity is a concept. So here it refers to a hypothetical future where technology growth is out of control, is irreversible. And this is often associated with the idea that machines would surpass human intelligence. There's a reason why I'm reading this, because in the next slide I will show you at what category we are in terms of AI surpassing our capabilities. Because remember, this was in the 1950s. This is not the concept of technological singularity was invented in the 1950s. So, and here is what it refers to really. The green line is the human intellect. As you can see, it's developing slowly. Humans are becoming smarter as time progresses. And from 1950s, when the emergence of AI came, you can see what's happening with the AI. It's taking over, and here we're in a category that the AI is kind of overtaking the human level performance. There are two expectations here. First is, for a short period of time, the red line, these two lines, they would merge. That means that the humans, if we can put a chip in our brains, like Elon Musk is doing, then for a certain period of time, we can catch up with artificial intelligence. But what happens when quantum computer emerge? That line will change. AI will go into a flat upward curve and humans won't be able to catch up. Just to mention the chip, this is the Neuralink. This is what Elon Musk is doing in terms of plugging chips into human brain. And this is very helpful. As you can see in the images here, disabled people would benefit out of this. It's not only that normal people would need to have their brains connected to a machine. It has really a range of use cases, but it's not a solution. AI will take over. And here we have, based on capabilities, measurement, AI versus human capabilities based on capabilities. In the next few slides, I will show you based on benchmarks. In the black line is the human level capabilities, and the arrows here is AI. As you can see, artificial intelligence has already taken over human level capabilities in many areas. It's something that you can play with. You can go to our word in data, and you could change this. So you can add whichever capability you're interested in. Visual recognition, reading comprehension, you can add them more. But you see the data here is all the way up to 2023. Now, since we only have 20 minutes left on this session, I will continue with this one on the course on the Agentic AI, but I'm not going to cover it now. This is a session on blockchain, so we need to go to Bitcoin. These are the Bitcoin addresses, and some people were asking me how safe they are and how do they connect to the previous session on quantum computing. Some of the old Bitcoin addresses, and if you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, after the next few minutes, you might get a little bit disappointed. So I'm very sorry for that, but Bitcoin is not, I'm looking at the gentleman over there with the yellow hat who is giving me a very skeptical look now.
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan?
I like when somebody criticizes it.
Okay, so here we have the list of digital wallets for Bitcoin. Remember, this connects to the European Union wallet. We have digital wallets here. Some of them are already obsolete. You see, this wallet was during the time of Satoshi Nakamoto. That wallet is here, as you can see, obsolete. We have more wallets that they are decreasing popularity. And this is another one that is obsolete. Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin in 2008-2009. He's a mysterious person that since then has disappeared. So let's say Satoshi Nakamoto, if I can. No, Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto. This is not Satoshi Nakamoto. This is a person called Satoshi Nakamoto, but it's not the actual Satoshi Nakamoto. Satoshi Nakamoto is a mysterious person. Nobody knows his true identity. He published the paper on Bitcoin using synonyms. Some people say that Satoshi Nakamoto worked for the CIA. Some people say that Satoshi Nakamoto worked for the US government. Some people say that the US government is Satoshi Nakamoto. There was an American politician, strong leader, who said you can keep a secret between three people only if two of them are dead. So you cannot have a secret from 2008, 2009 until today, somebody would have spoken. You have many examples of whistleblowers. Another reason why I don't think that Satoshi Nakamoto is the feds, well, there's a lot more reasons, I'm just giving you some of the most important ones. When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, that was just after the time that Elon Musk sold PayPal. Some of the messages that were sent from in the old chat, those chats, they don't exist anymore, but we do keep the IP addresses and screenshots. The IP addresses come from an airport in California. That is the airport where Elon Musk was parking his plane, coincidentally. You can say maybe he used VPN, and everything is possible. Now, another reason why could be Elon Musk is that Elon Musk already had built the PayPal. He had the technology, the knowledge to build a payment mechanism like Bitcoin. More reasons, Bitcoin is written in C++, Elon Musk is a C++ developer, so you can expand this, but the main reason why I think the only person, if he is alive, the only person who could be Satoshi Nakamoto is Elon Musk, is because nobody has shifted a single penny between these obsolete wallets. Now, I'll come back to why that's very problematic. But these obsolete wallets, nobody has shifted a single penny. And many people claim, I'm Satoshi Nakamoto. We put them on test. We say, nobody has the private keys. Only Satoshi has the private keys to those very old wallets. Shift one penny, just one penny. Prove that you're Satoshi Nakamoto. Shift one penny, nobody can shift a penny. Which means that none of those people who claim that it's Satoshi Nakamoto is actually Satoshi Nakamoto. The only person who doesn't need money is the richest person on this planet, Elon Musk, who has tons of other money, so he doesn't need to shift this. And maybe he's worried because of the legal consequences from creating a Bitcoin, because this could trigger a lot of backlash. So maybe in that person's mind, it's easier to not have an association with this project, keep that money there regardless because he has tons of other money. But I personally don't think that it's even Elon Musk. I think Satoshi Nakamoto is dead, and nobody's going to recover that money anytime. I think that money is gone. Satoshi Nakamoto worked with somebody. Satoshi Nakamoto was not a cryptographer, worked with a cryptographer. That cryptographer, we know his name, since then has died from cancer. And in 2014, he sold, I can open the image here, I can show you his whole biography. He had a cancer treatment in 2014. He sold all his Bitcoin for the cancer treatment and he died. People die. People don't last forever. 2008, 2009 is a long, long time ago. You know, soon we're going to get students that they were not even born in those years. So if Satoshi Nakamoto is dead, which I think he might be dead, then if we go here, these are obsolete wallets. Quantum computer would be able to break those within a second, because you cannot transfer, you cannot send that money. Only Satoshi Nakamoto has the private keys, so nobody can send a penny. And if you break those wallets, there's a lot of money in those. Actually, at some point this year, Satoshi Nakamoto was richer than Bill Gates. So that's how much money is in these wallets. If you have a quantum computer, you can break, you can steal that, you can sell it. What's going to happen with Bitcoin then? Well, how many people would trust Bitcoin if somebody can steal such a huge amount of Bitcoins and start putting them on the market? And there are already discussions on forking the Bitcoin like Ethereum, just creating a fork, a separate chain and forking all. People would have a limited time to transfer their Bitcoins, or, well, that goes against the very fundamental principle of decentralized money. In 2008, when Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, we had the financial crisis when many banks collapsed. And people were saying, we are going into this decentralization when you have digital wallets, you have various different government-owned, bank-owned forms of money. And if, let's say, every 10 years you need to have a recession, it's like a balloon. Economy is like a balloon. If you don't know anything about the economy, you only need to know it goes like a balloon pops, and then there's some kind of a recession that brings it down to normal. Now, every 10 years you have that balloon being deflated. We had a COVID major problem. The balloon didn't deflate. It should have deflated, but it didn't deflate. Then we had a war in Ukraine, major conflict. That should have deflated the balloon. It didn't deflate because we pumped in more money into the economy, quantitative easing. This was exactly what Bitcoin was designed to prevent. But when this kind of event happens, people would lose trust in Bitcoin. And if you're forking it, that means that you're under control. You're part of the system. You're part of the government. You're part of... Bitcoin was designed in a way that nobody had control over your money except yourself. And now somebody's forking it. Well, that doesn't fly very well with the Bitcoin community. So that's why that is not going to work. I'm going to cover the other concepts. This is Attention All You Need. This is the original paper. I'm going to cover this in the slides in the next few days. This is the origin of the transformer architecture, the very first paper. And if you type those names, you're going to realize that they're from Google. They're not from Apple. Now, going back to the slides here, compliance, what else do we need to cover? This is ISO. Those reports here are links. So you can click on that link and you will be able to get that report. 227 francs. Below that, you have an alternative from the United States, which is free. If you work for an organization, clearly you can get those reports. But if you are trying to do research, please don't spend your money. You can get the same information without paying the 227 pounds. When do you need to pay for that? You need to pay for that when you work for an organization and you need to be compliant with that standard. You are students. You don't need to be compliant with anything. You need to learn the compliance. And if you work for an organization, they will provide that report for you. But ISO compliance is considered legally more of a mitigation thing. You say, we got hacked, we lost the money, we were ISO compliant, right? eIDAS and the European Digital Identity Wallet. We covered this in great length. Now, those are links here, leading you to the direct sources of those reports, which I'm not going to really open now because we only have like 10 minutes left. But it's one of the claims. blockchain integration. If it's a blockchain integration, it needs to have a bridge and oracle that you would be able to buy and sell between fiat and crypto. It's not providing that as a function. It's basically a digital wallet based on blockchains that they choose. Self-sovereign identities. Oh, this is an interesting topic now. What does it mean, self-sovereign identity? You have a phone. Hold on. This is a self-sovereign identity. Basically, the facial recognition camera from this, it's used to prove that you are you. How many people can afford a very expensive device like this? Self-sovereign identity means that the bank is not controlling your identity. This phone is controlling your identity. What if this phone is only 10 euros? What if you live in a country that people don't have money to pay 1,000 pounds for a mobile phone? That's one of the criticisms for these self-sovereign identities. In India, they have the Aadhaar system. And the Aadhaar system is based on centralized data repository. That it's not relying on your mobile phone to verify your identity. It's relying on agencies, service providers. Now with the European Digital Wallet, the self-sovereign identity shifts all the verification to your mobile device. That is an iPhone device, which for me it's an old, I have a different one over there. It's not a problem for me, I live in United Kingdom. With one salary I can buy a new phone. It's a new toy for me, it's not a problem for me. But what if you live in, I don't want to name poor countries, if somebody comes from a poor, let me use, I'm originally from Eastern European, very poor country, where income is 300 euros per month. Now, how many months do I need to work to save up to buy a device for 2,000 pounds? What if my expenses are more than 300 euros per month and I only earn 300 euros per month and I need 500 euros per month to survive? That means I'm in minus every year, I'm struggling. So why would I spend 1,000 euros for a device? Self-sovereign identity means that the verification mechanisms on your device, the biometric camera, all that is used to verify your identity. That's a very controversial topic. You're forcing people to buy very expensive devices to verify their identity. Now, we already spoke about morphing images. We already spoke about various different ways how I can bypass even the most advanced security camera. So not only that it's very expensive way, second, it's not the most secure way. That is the problem with these new forms of identities that they are creating. But moving on away from the eIDAS, want it or not, you're gonna get it. Ledger immutability, legal asset or legal risk. Here I'm referring to a paper published on Frontiers, which you can read to get into more detail about that. Ledger immutability. And I'm only gonna highlight 8 minutes left. I'm gonna highlight the GDPR here. Well, actually, oh my God. You see on my screen, I get a blue arrow. So I keep talking about this, but you see, I get this blue line that I'm pointing out, but on this screen it's not showing. So oh my God, for tomorrow I'll know. GDPR here and ledger assets. I need to fix this. Ledger immutability. Blockchain. What does it mean, blockchain? It's database connected to cryptography. Means that everything that you verify today is stored in a block, it's kept. Nobody can change it, nobody can edit that, nobody can mitigate that in the future. That's why it's safe. How does it work, blockchain, in these digital identity systems that they're promoting? GDPR has something that is called right to be forgotten. So I have the right to be forgotten. What if it's on blockchain? What if that's been put into a box and nobody can open the box anymore? What if the government does not have the control over the box? How is that compliant? It's not compliant. You cannot use blockchain with GDPR in the same environment. And then that's why they built self-sovereign identities when you verify everything on your phone. But the Estonian digital ID system does contain blockchain. So is blockchain more secure? Of course, decentralized. But you cannot really use it because it's not compliant with the GDPR. In the future, is this going to work? GDPR did not exist until 2018. So in the future, when we're facing new forms of risk like quantum, those regulations, they can change. I know that some people are like GDPR. I remember the days when there was no GDPR. GDPR did not exist until 2018. It was implemented then, and now we have this very strong focus towards the right to be forgotten, which I completely agree with that one. But in terms of financial transactions, now if you think about money transfers, is that data fitting into the right to be forgotten? Let's say you're a criminal and you send loads of money here and there, you make loads of transactions and you say, I want that to be forgotten. Can you do that? No. On the blockchain, all the transactions that they happen from day one on Bitcoin and Ethereum are open ledger. They're clearly visible. But it's problematic because you have the right to be forgotten. So if you have never done anything, and if one of those addresses, which is a hash function, it's being connected to your name, that means people know now, and I can do that, I can connect those two names. People think they're very anonymous, but it's not the case. Because you post those to get payment. So you post your address in various different platforms in order to get people to pay you. And since you have posted it, I have mechanisms how to search the entire internet to check where you have posted it. So if I'm posting you my Ethereum address via some kind of a message to say, hey, send me 3 Ethereum for the dinner that we had 2 days ago. That's already creating connection. Your address, your name. That's it. So it's not that secretive as people think. 4 minutes left, so we're gonna have to make sure that we cover the slides. Let's see, what other slides do we have? There's a Slido, which I'm gonna skip because there's not enough time. Cross-border transactions. Is cryptocurrency fast because it's fast, or is it fast because it's not compliant with the regulations? Now, SWIFT messages, when you're sending money between Serbia and Poland, they don't really take that long. I mean, in the UK, we have the fast payment mechanism, and I send money from one account to the other. It happens with the blink of an eye. So when you're sending money across countries, why is it slow? It's slow because it has to go through money laundering checks, it has to go through various different systems. So when you say, well, Bitcoin is faster, it doesn't really do those checks on Bitcoin. So that's why it's fast. Traditional payment mechanisms would do exactly the same if you were not running those checks. And this is creating problems in terms of compliance. How do you secure distributed systems? And if you didn't know this, it's a long conversation. Decentralized systems are actually part of a distributed system. So it's the same kind of technology. And the key takeaways, this is going to be the last slide because then we're going to have a quiz. The quiz is going to be very challenging because the quiz is designed to be more informative than for you to be able to answer the questions. The same like the last one. Many of those answers that you got at the end, you were actually hearing the answer for the first time. It's the same like you go to a pub quiz and they ask you a specific question. You don't always know the answer. Many of the quiz questions have been covered here and hope it's going to work, but we do have somebody here who knows how to work with the quiz. Now, key takeaways, and this is also an introduction for the next sessions, shadow AI versus sleeper agents. There's a lot of talk about sleeper agents in the news and media today, but before we go into that, for the next slide, key takeaway, blockchain security failures are governance failures quite often. AI fundamentally changes the attacker model. We said civil attacks will be expanded, so you would be able to use morphic images. Identity is the compliance of decentralized systems. It's very difficult to see how GDPR can be fitted in a decentralized system, decentralized blockchain system. Decentralized blockchain system has immutability. You cannot go back in time and change what was stored in the block, and that's directly contradicting the GDPR requirement for the right to be forgotten. ISO standards provide structure, but not guarantees, and legal accountability persists despite decentralization. Now, what's the difference between shadow AI and sleeper agents? This is just to pique your interest for the next session. How many of you know what is a shadow AI? Shadow AI? Shadow AI? No. Shadow AI is when you need to write a specific report, you know you can do it very fast on your computer, but your employer prohibits it. Then you do it anyways. So you don't ask your employer for permission, you write the report. And that's how do you prevent it? We'll talk about that tomorrow because there's a way how to prevent that. Sleeper agents is when you build a function within an agentic AI system that is going to trigger after 5, 10, 15 years time. So as soon as you start building trust, you integrate this into your national security grid, into your medical infrastructure, and then adversary would trigger that sleeper agent. Now, we are going to the quiz, because we are running out of time. This is the quiz. Let me just push the quiz in, if I can find it. Hold on. Closing this, singularity, closing that. The quiz, okay? Okay, so you should be able to join now. You don't know how to join in? Should I show you the slide? This one? Do you want to scan it?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so we're getting people joining in now. I'm going to give you a few seconds to join. The questions will be very fast. You're only going to have like 20 seconds. It's only like 5 questions. So once you join in, technically we can do this in less than around 1 minute. Okay, so we have 15 people. I'm going to give you a few more seconds and then I'm going to press that. In the meantime, let me look. Oh no. Questions and answers. Show questions. No, actually. Yes, I think the Bitcoin was directly a result of the financial crisis. Actually created. Do you think if Bitcoin was forked? No, I don't think Bitcoin is that big. So live quiz first. No. Why is this? Okay. What does ISO primary provide?
Just need to restart it.
I need to restart the refresh.
Just stop. Okay. Click previous.
Previous?
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, now it's going on. Just wait.
Okay. C. Reference architecture. Next question. Why are cross-chain bridges dangerous from a regulatory perspective? Ooh, we spoke about cross-chain bridges a lot. You saw the Orbital Finance, Auto Finance. Those are the different bridges that they currently exist. See, they concentrate just and blur boundaries. Okay, yeah, actually, I'm surprised how many people got it. Next question, this is 3rd out of 5 questions. What is the main legal weakness? Again, when I'm talking about what is the main weakness, that's my area. What is the main legal weakness? That is your area. You should know that better than me. Yeah, I think I gave you a hint, so next. This is 4 out of 5. $27,001 is cybersecurity. SHA-3. It's not in that. So the ISO, okay. It's the next one, but it's very difficult to know. Those reports are included in the slides, so you will be able to open the links to those reports and read the abstracts. Remember, they cost money. ISO reports would charge you 200 Swiss francs for each report, and there's no need to buy those. This is the last question, 5 out of 5. Decentralization automatically reduces legal accountability. You should all know this answer. We spoke about this over and over and over. But it's the key point in this session. Why is blockchain not a silver bullet? False. There we are. And this comes from somebody who owns loads of cryptocurrencies and has lost a lot of money on cryptocurrencies. So I'm not skeptical about cryptocurrencies. I was one of the first investors in Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin for, which would have been lots of money now. I sold it for £120 and I went on a drinking night when I was a master's student. So I do have engagement with lots of cryptocurrencies. I'm not skeptical about using them. This is old technology. Blockchain is nothing new. If you just heard about it now, I've been playing with Bitcoin when I was in my 20s. Now I'm heading towards my 40s. So, and many people who created this technology are already dead. It was iPhone 1, which we determined, iPhone 1. So this is a very old technology. That ends the session. 3 o'clock, this is the end? Yeah, okay. If you have any questions, please ask now because I'm closing everything. Questions? Any questions?
How will you send us the presentation?
Oh, this will be uploaded into a G drive.
Yeah, we have a G drive for all of the lectures, so we share that. So we will add the all of the videos.
The lectures and the videos. So let me shut down the video.